Welcome to another episode of Coder Conversations. Today we have composer and video editor Mathew Kirkegaard. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Oh yeah,
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. Yeah,
we're definitely pleased to have you on. But just to get it started, man, can you introduce yourself to the audience? Like, what do you do, and how did you get there?
Sure. Yeah, so I am Mathew Kirkegaard. I've been part of the game industry for quite a few years now. I had graduated with a bachelor's degree in game development and entertainment. And I've been associated with a few companies, some more than others, such as GameXplain for the last 10 years. I am I wouldn't say an intern, but I'm legally an employee, but I'm a low level employee, part of Way Forward Technologies, known for Shantae and a lot of other things. So by the way, that like you see over here, that's Shantae and Roddy Tops, by the way, characters from Way Forward. Yeah, and also Studio Ravenheart, known for a game that's been coming up for a while now, called Seraphim, which is to be come out on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, as well as PC.
But what is that? Most like of my RPG, or what type of game is that?
It is basically an radio shooter. It's like an arcade shooter where it's almost like a tower defense, and your character's in the middle, and things are coming at it from the side, from all sides, and you're trying to shoot stop them as it goes faster and faster. You're basically like, I we have an elevator pitch, but I just thought, I forgot this actually mentioned the elevator pitch. Yeah, because I've been so busy with other things, I wasn't thinking about that at all. But yeah, it's like, you're gonna have to forgive me. And I'm like, Raymond Hart's like, man, what'd you say, man? But no, just like, it's basically an arcade shooter where you're a colossal angel defending the Earth from certain destruction, effectively. I'm not saying that exactly right, but that's effectively what it is. Right. It is pretty neat. It's got this effect that doesn't look like it's from this world at all. So it's almost like I wouldn't say near automata, but it's just got this whole almost robotic look to it, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what involvement did you have on that game?
So I'm the music composer for the entire soundtrack. For
awesome.
As well as anything else that comes out for Studio Ravenheart. But the game has been in development for a while. It was originally released, mind you, on the was it on mobile? I think it was on the PlayStation mobile platform that was there.
Right.
For a very short period of time, and it was taken down because it had a different focus back then. Like it was still the same kind of general game. It's just that it became something much bigger, like way bigger than what was originally going to be. It's like, oh, hey, this is just arcade shooter. Cool. It's like, nope, it's like full adventure now. It's I mean, like you got a world map and everything, like all these different missions, and that's kind of. So
very cool.
Yeah, so I do the soundtrack for that, but I've also done other things too, such as some of the rigging and rigging and animation sort of things with it too, and I've been doing a little 3D modeling as well, because that is actually in my background. So
nice.
I actually helped a little bit with that, but I am primarily the sound person.
You do a little bit of animation.
Yeah, I have. So I've done it, but it's only with that company. Like any other company, not too much. When it comes to GameXplain and Way Forward, I'm primarily like kind of a person who can handle some of the excess work that has to do with video editing. So that's how it is with Way Forward. I can't talk too much about Way Forward, but that's just kind of what it is right now. And maybe things will change soon enough with that, because it's a little more recent. It's definitely the most recent thing of the three. Right.
Is this the first project that you're entirely responsible for, like the soundtrack?
In some ways, yes, because it dates back to 2013, I think. I'll get more into the soundtrack stuff, but when it comes to like a full soundtrack for a game, I would have to say that's probably is the case. But I've been doing others since, like especially the game called Carpoon, which is by Tom Arnold. No, not the actor. Tom Arnold was the person who does thumbnails and other art for GameXplain. He has his own. He has his own game. It's on itch.io and also on Steam. But I've done the full soundtrack for that too. But that probably gets the connection over to GameXplain. Like most people who maybe be seeing this may be most familiar with my work with GameXplain. Because I've actually been in videos by voice and in some cases by actual video, like on camera. But mostly on voice. And what I have been doing there, and it started in a similar way. Like I was getting involved with the music stuff. I was helping out the team with doing different music, and a lot of the things were like, I wouldn't say remixes, because I learned like remix is not the same thing. Like it's arrangement. But I come from overclock I come from overclock remix, so we use the word remix very loosely. It's not technically a remix. Very loose definition. Because remix is like where you actually take existing music and like a DJ and like straight up mix it up. But it's arrangement. But like in that kind of colloquial sense, it just means like, oh yeah, you just arranged music. Okay, cool. And that's what I was doing for GameXplain until I started doing things like some videos, because I started having specialization in certain topics that have to do with the game series and such like that. So I started getting into in more recent. Ever since 2020, I was doing some Animal Crossing videos. Had a lot of coverage for that, and then even more recently, and this is probably more well known here, is that I was covering a Mario Kart series because of the Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I have been doing all the courses, all of them, relating to the Booster Course Pass, and I was covering the previews as well, and they were really successful. But of course, the Booster Course Pass is not really much a heavy topic these days. But it just recently concluded and wrapped up, nicely. I just haven't had the time. That's why it took so darn long.
You were doing the soundtrack for that as well.
Actually, no, I do. I've done jingles for a lot of video intros. So I've been using that for the Mario Kart one a lot. So when you see Mario in his cart, racing at the finish line and just doing like a donut. That little jingle there is mine. Like I wrote that from scratch. But yeah, and we've used other things too. Like I wrote the music for Pipeline, which was a podcast before it was kind of silently like discontinued. And many other things. Like most of the things that you hear music is me. Like that's some stuff that I've done. The only exception, of course, was the original GameXplain theme that was done by Alaska or Alexis C. Right. But that musician was no longer associated with GameXplain in any way. So, and then I just kind of took that, and that's how it started with Real Talk on GameXplain, which was a podcast back quite a few years ago at this point, like 8 years. And for a few years it was going on, and then it got stopped going on at 2021, I think. And so this continued, but it had over 200. There was like 200 to 300 episodes. So that theme was being used over and over and over and over and over again. And it was a well-known podcast, at least at the time. And so that was in the background, but I also got associated with the community as well. So that's why I say that even though I was never legally staff, I was perceived as staff, because on Discord I had a staff status, and just everything that's going on, just like, oh yeah, Mathew staff. Like, no, legally I'm not. Yeah, I'm just that's why I'm not really part of it was never part of the internal stuff. Like okay, you'll see me on releases like every time. Like, no, you're probably not gonna see me on there, because I'm not part of the panel. But at the same time, like you might see me on something like if I specialize in something, I would have probably been on there. Like, yeah, I mean, I specialize in this, so yeah, have me on.
Now, let me ask you, just for our listeners, what were you most proud of at that company? What project?
Specifically, GameXplain?
Yes.
I would have, that's multi-pronged. So, in a sense, it was finished right, on Friday night and got released on Saturday, just a few days ago. So it's really interesting that this interview is happening just a few days after the 2.5 year. I'm using the word these days, meta project, because it's not just a project; it's multiple projects that make a bigger project. So,
nice.
Yeah. So that's how I see it, because like you got multiple videos, but it's all part of a big series. So, so that is one of I would have to say is possibly one of my biggest accomplishments there. In fact, probably the longest series of anything in my entire life I've done. And that's
nice.
That's saying, that's after having 2 degrees in college and be involved with many different things, and even having my own music series out there, which I have a music series, by the way, called Melodies of Gaming, which has been on GameXplain as well. And we actually, on the last episode that we had, and this was like last year, we had Grant Kirkhope. Yeah. I brought Grant Kirkhope on from Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, ukulele, a lot of other things he's done. In fact, it was focused on Mario plus Rabbids. And so Kingdom Battle, the very first one, it was not really focused on Sparks of Hope, because Sparks of Hope didn't come out yet. But that was definitely something that I was really, proud that I was able to bring on board a very well-known composer.
Nice.
Yeah, and that may continue to happen. It's just that the series is not dead; it's just on hiatus. I just haven't had the time. So I took a lot of the music analysis, and you'll probably appreciate this, Brian, because as a drummer, I've been taking a lot of the music analyses and applying that to the Mario Kart analyses. So for every single track or course in that booster course pass, I was assessing the music and comparing it.
Right.
So, and this includes the percussion. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a drummer. I'm a keyboardist. So, like, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, you can see over here. I'm a keyboardist. There, yeah. So, I've been involved with that. So I try to stay involved with the music through everything I do. Like, I would like to do music for Way Forward as well. Way Forward is well aware of what I do. When it comes to the music stuff, but I had most of the opportunity in GameXplain and Studio Ravenheart when it comes to the music. But at the same time, like the skills that were used, and probably in all sense, it would be the video editing. I did take a little bit of that in college, or technically it was a tech school. But I did take some of that stuff, but that was not what I really thought I would be doing. It's just that, that skill's useful right now. Okay, great. So I'm applying it in a different way. Definitely. Right. So on GameXplain, you can see a lot of the things that I've done, but at the same time, when it comes to Way Forward, I can't really, share any of the things that I've done on Way Forward right now at this time. But, I was asked to do certain things, and like, hey, we're needing to do this. Could you cover it? And like, yeah, sure. And that's kind of how it went down. And when it comes to Studio Ravenheart, however, when it comes to the videos for that, I've done the trailers. So I was the trailer creator.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I would definitely, we can always just put links in the description or something for like so people can check out, the trailer and all the other stuff too. Sure. Yeah. So, that's basically what I've done. So that would have to be the thing that connects my skill set with all of the companies, would be the video editing. But
how did you specifically get into the video editing? Was that through school?
That was through college, or technically the tech school. But we just colloquially call it college. But that was how I use Premiere Pro. But just so you know, Premiere Pro is my it's my tool of choice. I use a lot of Adobe products, just because, partially because I was trained for it. I've liked a lot of other stuff too. Like I like back in the old days, I used to love Paint Shop Pro and a lot of things that had nothing to do with Adobe. But we were trained for Adobe, so hey, this works.
It or like what some people use Final Cut.
Oh yeah, a lot of people were using Final Cut back in the day. I know that GameXplain was using Sony Vegas for a while, and only a couple of us were using Premiere, and now GameXplain is using Premiere.
Oh, nice.
So in the end, we just kind of like, okay, we're all Premiere now.
Yeah.
So is Adobe Premiere what you prefer, or is it more so that's because what you were trained in?
It was training, and also I'm used to it. I don't really have a reason to change it. Like, whether or not I would feel as the best one. I learned a lot of different products. It's just, I'm most comfortable with it just simply because of familiarity. I think it does the job, and also anything that it doesn't do, I'm able to use After Effects.
Right.
So if there's for some reason there's not doing the job, I can just use After Effects, which I don't use a whole lot of, and I know a lot of people do. But it's a good supplementary program. So
now,
Adobe
speaking
After Effects. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of programs, in terms of your composing, which DAW are you using? Are
okay,
you
this
using
is going to get in. This is going to get interesting.
Are you using Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase? What are you using for your DAW?
Okay, this is going to get really interesting. So, those who may know me from way back in the 1990s, when I was first getting my feet wet with publicizing music works. I was a MIDI composer. Like I would actually do MIDIs, MIDI, digital interface. And I would do, like, back then we just had like sound fonts and stuff. And even before that we had FM synthesis. But the thing is, I wasn't very involved in FM synthesis, but I'm quite familiar with it.
Right.
Especially since like the old days, late 80s and stuff like that. Early 90s, especially. Yeah, I was involved with that, and I got really familiarized with a software called Cakewalk. They had the same company as Sonar, and that was my tool of choice. I mean, it was actually another one before that, but it was not very well known, and I didn't stay on it for too long. But I ended up going to Cakewalk, and Cakewalk was my MIDI creator of choice.
Okay.
And well, this is going to be relevant to today. I'll explain why. Because it came from that background and not from the same kind of background as some people who are into loops, like with back then was called Fruity Loops, have since became
FL Studio, right? I used to use that.
Yeah, I've used it too. In fact, I have a lifetime copy of that.
It's quite,
and I'm able to use it. And I did use it for Seraphim. I did use it for Seraphim.
You do a lot. You really do a lot.
Yeah, it is powerful, but it's not the best for MIDI based stuff. From my personal experience, maybe it has changed, but a lot of things that deal with MIDI based stuff, it was not the best thing for that. So the way my
what has been your go-to for the MIDI stuff?
Believe it or not, still Cakewalk.
Okay.
I'm not forced to do it. It's just a personal choice, and I'll explain why that matters. So, Cakewalk, especially today, has been owned by BandLab. So BandLab took control of that, and they have tried to turn into something a little more like Sonar and Cubase and all the other ones as well. What I have tend to do is a lot of my samples do not come from the inside of the computer or internal libraries, but rather from my keyboard. I have a Roland.
Right.
I have a Roland. I actually have two Rolands here, and I also have a Yamaha. But I've been using this a little more more recent Roland, which I ended up learning later wasn't really one of their flagship releases, but I was like, you know what, it still does the job. It's easy enough. And I'm able to get all this. I'm able to get all the samples because through Roland Axiom, you can actually access all of the ones that used to cost money, big money, in order to put their cards into your workstation keyboards. You would have to buy every single one individually. That could rack up to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So it since became free for people who actually have this stuff. And it's like, okay, awesome. So, I mean, now I have the one that I originally had, but also everything else. Mind you, but my go-tos have been mostly like the symphonic, like orchestra stuff, and also world, because I also like doing a lot of world music as well. So
now, what about like 8-bit, 16-bit chiptune?
It has that too. It has that too. Even on in just the basic keyboard stuff. I've been doing some of that. Some of the music you might hear on my YouTube channels, but don't like that. But also was involved with WarioWare DIY, which is actually a video game, but it was actually really cool to use for 8-bit stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Even though it was not a powerful, it wasn't powerful, but it did its job for what it was. I was like, wow, that's not bad for something that was not meant to be a DAW.
All the chiptune that I write is on this device called the Korg EMX1 Electron.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, I think so. Because they have Korg M01D on 3DS.
Okay.
So there is a Korg thing on 3DS.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make great Korg really makes some great hardware.
Yeah. I haven't owned a Korg keyboard, but I have owned these things. Mind you, I like them all. So, but it just I happened at the time because when I started getting more modern keyboards, it was back in 2005. It's funny, that's not modern anymore. But that's when I started getting like I tried to get my professional stuff at that time, and then I got another keyboard since, which is now unfortunately 10 years old. And I'm wanting to get more, but just a lot of things just not really allowing for it. But for the most part, it's been doing its job. And
go with what works, right?
Right, with what works. Yeah. Again, I have every intention to get another keyboard as soon as I'm able to get to it. So, and may even be a Yamaha, because Yamaha is really good with acoustics. So, I may actually be switching back to Yamaha, and I might go from there. Again, I'll have to reassess things. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into the weeds here about what keyboards are better. But yeah, basically these are my tools of the trade, and so I now I use that to access through MIDI cable a cakewalk, and I'm able to just go right back and forth, and that's how I'm able to do it. And it has all the extra tools that you need, and so it's not limited to just the just the basics. It is able to record additional information, like not just velocity on, but velocity off. So velocity off is when you release the key. So velocity on is how hard and fast you hit the key. Right. But velocity off is how fast you release the key. And I've dealt with some instruments that actually applied that. A very well-known one is actually the shakuhachi, which is a Japanese woodwind instrument, and that way you could tell when to do the cutoff. It was the cutoff, and it was a really good way to apply that to feel a little bit more humanized and more natural. And I really like those extra features that are a little beyond the general MIDI. But MIDI was
do you primarily work with MIDI or what?
I do. Like? I do. And I know a lot of people say, why? There's so much better stuff going on out there. It's just familiarity. I'm willing to deal with a lot of different things. And again, I use Adobe Audition as well. And I've actually
MIDI is clean. MIDI is really, really clean sounding.
It is. But like for instance, I had a track on Harpoon. In one of the I want to say songs, because song is incorrect, because song is it has lyrics, but one of the pieces, music pieces, it has this sort of industrial sound to it, and so at the very end, it's like, I want to apply a gate effect. And so I couldn't. I mean, maybe it was a way for me to do on the keyboard, and I know there's ways to do that. I just said, you know, let's just do the old fashioned dirty way, and just go into the waveform and just silence out, you know, parts so that it goes. Yeah, that's your gate effect. Yeah, that's your gate effect.
Right.
And so yeah, like gives it. That's a really popular in dance music and stuff like that. Jake Kaufman was used to be associated with Way Forward. Did a lot of music for Shovel Knight. No, Shovel Knight is not Way Forward. Just to make that clear. Shantae is. So a lot of past Shantae music had a lot of the dance kind of style. So Jake would have well known about gates and stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah. So I have a little bit of influence from Jake Kaufman, but also a lot of others like David Wise, known for Donkey Kong Country. But yeah, those are
some great. Those are some great. I love the water levels in Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, aquatic ambiance. Yeah.
No, that's genius. Genius.
Oh yeah. No, I mean even more recent stuff. It was really good. Like David Wise is not just from the past, definitely from the current times as well.
Right.
But I also had influence from like Nobuo Uematsu, known for Final Fantasy. So I'm not just stuck to one genre. Like so, yeah.
That's awesome.
And I love going with
like a wide net. You know, it's good to cast a wide net.
I just because I like many different genres. Like I'm not stuck with one genre.
Right.
But at the same time, like there's a lot of things to gravitate towards. Like I'm really I'm a good fan of jazz, blues. So you're going to hear a lot of the stuff that I do. You're going to hear a lot of riffs that kind of lean towards jazz and blues.
Right.
I feel like there's something kind of catchy about that. There's something that kind of hooks you, and you kind of want that. And it's just like, oh, this is catchy. Oh, that's a good little riff right there. A good little a sound, and that's why I apply that with a lot of things I do. Mind you, it's not usually going to be that much for some symphonic stuff, but unless of course it's like symphonic rock, you know, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now with the jazz, are you like into Coltrane, Bill Evans? Like what's your main influence there?
I think because of I think because I grew up from a much earlier time. I'm older than I look, but since I come from an earlier time, I probably have a lot of influence from the 90s jazz.
Yeah.
Maybe even 80s. But like I kind of have a lot of that going on. It's not so much the modern jazz. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll check out modern jazz. But or even way before my time, you know, big band and swing and stuff like that. It's just awesome to me.
Buddy Rich.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I want to do one of these tracks eventually. I haven't done one yet. I would love to do it. Electro swing, the return of the 1930s style swing music, but brought into a modern world. Oh yeah, that is such a good sound.
Badass, yeah.
So, like, what kind of game do you picture that fitting into?
It really depends. I can think of one right now that I was working on in college. I don't know if not because I'm under any sort of NDA for this, but just in case we want to use it because it was an idea. But there was a project that actually had this one of these levels that was in an abandoned carnival, and
really,
it used a little bit of, it mixed a little bit of disco with the carnival music. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But no, I can imagine stuff like that happening for many different games that are a little bit more just out there.
And what game was that with the carnival stuff?
It wasn't a game that ever came out in the public. It was just an internal college project.
Got it.
So like, yeah, I think it's very possible that this was mentioned with the Studio Ravenheart before, because you know, I don't have any reason to be using that, but other than like going through Studio Ravenheart to do so, you know, if that has an opportunity to do so. but I mean, and that's if that comes that way. But
Right.
yeah, so I would I love to do music like that. I know for those who don't know what's electro swing. If you ever played Super Mario 3D World, the World Bowser,
Yeah.
it's got this really great thing. I mean, even in a sense, even in Aladdin was you never had a friend like me. It was practically like an electro swing, except just not with a whole lot of electronic instruments, but it had that kind of 1930s sort of big band, but mixed with a little bit of modern feeling to it.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
So
it's a very good sound. But I'm also big on like Latin jazz and stuff. I love bossa nova. Huge on bossa nova.
Nice.
Sorry, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, just to take it on a bit of a tangent. Like, what are some of the modern games with impressive soundtracks to you?
Oh, there are so many good things now. I've always loved Legend of Zelda, as you can probably see on my shirt here. I love like throughout all throughout all of
amazing.
Zelda history. Yeah, throughout all of history
stuff.
And mind you, Zelda's history, like how it came to be, is pretty amazing. And like it'd be something that I could suggest to pretty much any audience, simply because of its origins and how it became a thing. Like it is way beyond just say, hey, there's a game idea, let's put it away. No, it's way more than that. It came from the creator's actual childhood and his desire to adventure. And and there was a lot of influence through Christianity and all sorts of other things as well. I thought it was really neat, like the whole backstory to it is just really interesting. Yeah, I love that. So I've always loved Zelda music. I love Final Fantasy. I like so many different things, even to this modern time. A lot of indie scene stuff, like a lot of stuff in the indie scene, is also very good now too.
Now, do you like more of the Final Fantasy, the earlier stuff, the chiptune, or
I'm more familiar with the earlier,
the modern stuff?
I'm more familiar with the earlier Final Fantasy. I mean, I'm not trying to
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, Super Nintendo. Yeah, Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, all that stuff. But don't get me wrong. Like I've listened to a lot of stuff. I love Final Fantasy IX soundtrack. Seven's always a classic as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of stuff actually returned on Final Fantasy 14. So like 14 for PC and stuff. So it's like, oh wow, that's a remix of. Oh, I know that song.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nice.
This is part of why I have Melodies of Gaming. It's like I love music when it returns. So yeah, I think this is a good way to get back on topic. So that's what my music series, Melodies of Gaming, revisits. It visits music that returned in a new form, like was rearranged, and it assesses like, okay, this music has been rearranged. Like say one of the I think the very first one I did was for Link's Awakening, Zelda, for Link's Awakening on Nintendo Switch, and it was comparing it with the original, on the Game Boy, and I just love doing that kind of thing. Yeah, it was always just really awesome, and it applied with all of the series so far, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Animal Crossing, we had 2 Animal Crossing series, because it gets into remixes for that too. And it was just really neat. I thought it was pretty cool.
So would you say like the bulk of your influence is coming from like Zelda OST soundtracks?
Zelda is a huge part of it, but again, Final Fantasy was a big part of it. But then I've been hearing a lot of neat things these days too. Like for instance, from the Persona. I don't listen to a whole lot of Persona stuff, but like when I have heard it, it's like that is a really cool sound. like Persona. Oh yeah. I mean, mind you, I don't really play Persona, but I mean, like I've heard some of the soundtracks, and it's like that is such a good sound.
I love a lot of like real retro stuff, like Sonic 1, Sonic 2, like all the jazz fusion.
I even did a jingle for Sonic. That's it. Yeah, Sonic was deeply influenced by back at the time when Sonic the Hedgehog came out and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3, by New Jack Swing.
Okay.
And yeah, New Jack Swing music was popularized by a lot of different musicians at the time, including Michael Jackson. And it had that very poppy, that kind of poppy sound, just because it kind of has that 6/8 beat. And it had that kind of feeling to it, and so I applied that to a jingle, and I hope we can use it on a GameXplain, because that was what it was for. But it's on my YouTube channel, so like if anyone wants to check it out, and it was never in a GameXplain a video, it is on my YouTube channel, and I have like a set of three recent jingles for Paper Mario. So it was Paper Mario,
nice.
Metroid, and Sonic. But
yeah, Metroid, also that's a badass game. Nice.
Yeah. Because I like to spread it out. So I don't want to just like be focused on, okay, this is I'm interested in doing this kind of music. No, I was just like, okay, here's an example. I'm able to do different things, different genres, different styles, copy different games. Like it's not a cheap knockoff of it in a sense, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to use the melody and just, like, oh hey, yeah, familiar melody. No, it's just like literally is a completely new song, but it sounds like it belongs in it. So I think that's actually very useful for the industry, especially when you're trying to get out there doing soundtracks for things. Like, can you do this? We like this style. Can you apply this style to the soundtrack for this game that we want you to do, or want you to cover?
And that's where the difficulty comes in. Yeah.
Right. And it's a demonstration. And I think if one thing I have to suggest with people, make sure you have a portfolio. Like absolutely have a portfolio going on. That's more important than a resume. I will tell you this from experience.
Yeah.
The resume is something, but not every industry cares. I have had 2 people who didn't care at all what my resume said. They just wanted to see what I can do.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Especially
that's
the game
reality.
Industry.
Yeah.
We're talking game industry. Yeah.
In the game industry specifically, yeah, I would have to say it's more than that, because I think there's so many resumes out there. I mean, I'm not trying to like downplay that to where like, oh, don't have a resume. No, have a resume. But the thing is, though, don't expect that resume is going to be what sells it for people. It's going to be the examples you have that will be applicable to the company.
Like, what have you actually done? What can you show me from your work catalog? Yeah,
exactly. So that portfolio has power. Back in the day, we used to have like PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that. That it's not really that way. You just have it on a site. Have it on a site, have it on YouTube, have it on SoundCloud, have it on, have it on whatever is applicable to for the industry. But don't worry too much about what the resume itself says. Just have it there. It's good. Show it to them if they want to see it. But be ready for the actual display of your abilities with your portfolio.
So would that be kind of like your number one tip for people that are green, entry level, trying to break into the game industry? Yes. Like, what are some tips you would give? What are some tips you would give to the entry level guy or girl?
Yes. It depends on what you're doing. If you're a bug tester, I mean, that you're probably going to just be able to list the games that you worked on. I mean, you're not going to be able to really show that.
Yeah.
But if you're a musician, if you're a person who creates videos or trailers, and if you've done anything, and mind you, if the company allows you to actually show that stuff, because you have to always keep that in mind, that whatever you're doing in your portfolio is, A-okay with the with your employer.
Right.
Yeah. So, do that. And try to work on projects where you can do that. Because that's going to be a springboard for other things. That's actually part of how I got into GameXplain, is because I was working on this music. You might actually like this. I don't know your music preferences, but I'm actually pretty proud of this one. I was working on a music piece for a YouTuber called Yoshiller. And Yoshiller covers a lot of different things and was covering Splatoon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the game series called Splatoon for Nintendo. It was like a third person shooter, except it's like not really a shooter like with bullets. It's like you're basically shooting ink and everything like that. Yeah. So I did. So Yoshiller had asked me, it's like, hey, we met at E3 and like, could you? I'm really needing some music for this series of mine. I'm like, okay, all right, I could take the Splatoon music and just make it my own, like from scratch. Just say, okay, this is the melodies that are important to this. Why don't we just start mashing up in terms of like bringing a sort of medley sort of thing effect going on here.
Right, of course.
And just make this new idea like that feels like it could fit. And I did, and I started applying Vocaloid to a lot of the voices, and I actually wrote the lyrics for it. It's in Japanese.
Oh wow!
So I wrote these Japanese lyrics, applying a Vocaloid to this, to this. I guess I can call it a song because it's got lyrics to this song. And it was well liked, and it went along with the opening of the series of the the gameplay series, which was being done with friends of Yoshiller, and I was part of that too. But I'm not very good at Splatoon. Anybody asks, I'm not very good at Splatoon. But the reason why I'm mentioning that is because Andre, who owns and started GameXplain, heard that, and he's like, dude, this is really good. And he was so impressed by it that he was like, you know what, no, we need to get this guy. We got a project coming up here. This is the guy we need to bring on. And so they went into
talk about not needing the resume. They're just listening to your
They didn't care about the resume.
Oh hell yeah, this is
there
good.
Was no interest in any resume. I will tell you right now.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it didn't just apply there, it applied also with it wasn't just there. Let's just say that was not the only example. But so it was there, and it's like, yeah, can you do this podcast theme? So it's like, yeah, I'll do this podcast theme, and I finally do it, and one of the employees or one of the staff members who used to be part of that said, I think I like it more than the original.
That's flattering.
Yeah. I mean, I was very flattered by that. I'm not trying to boast. I'm just saying that was just the experience I went through, and I was like, "Whoa,
that's awesome."
Okay, all right, okay, all right. Yeah. And mind you, it got used for that many times, like I mentioned before, and that was in a sense my real start with GameXplain, and although I was doing something before, and I will hopefully be able to get to it. And like anyone who's checking this out, I was trying to do music for Cool Bits, which was a little series within GameXplain that was handled by Andre. And at the time, I couldn't quite get something that was, I wouldn't say was suitable. I think it was suitable. It was just, it wasn't clicking quite right. And
right.
So I had to unfortunately shelf it, and we just kind of agreed, that we're just going to have to shelf it. Like we just can't deal with this right now. And but what ended up happening is that over 10 years, yes, we're talking 10 years here. Over 10 years, it little by little, like something was being developed with that. Mind you, doesn't mean I was spending hundreds of hours. It's just, like when I had fun. But little by little, I was creating this piece that was what I was imagining. But the thing is, though, I didn't keep doing it with my professional software. I decided that, and I think this could be applied to a lot of people who are trying to get in the industry through the music side. I used what made sense at the time to actually get the effect that I wanted, and that was water away DIY.
Right.
I had a lot of familiarity with WarioWare DIY, and I've done some good tracks on that. If you could actually see it on my YouTube channel. Again, it's not, you can't say it's a professional tool. It is not, but it for what it is. I mean, it is it is flipping great. So it was just fun, and I think that's part of why I liked using it, is because it limited you. Sometimes the limitations can help you see clearly.
Yeah, well, that speaks to the 90s video game music. You know, they were very limited with like sine waves and like what they could actually use. And through those limitations, through those like barriers, this incredible, you know, like you said, Final Fantasy, Zelda, some incredible soundtracks were created because of the limitations.
But more Mario and stuff when it comes to that, because a lot of those symphonic things, the limitations were not really necessarily helping with it, because obviously Nobuo Uematsu at the time was thinking orchestra, not thinking, you know, what am I doing with 8 channels?
Right.
So yeah, like you know, that wasn't the idea, but no, he definitely did it right. He definitely got it right. But in this particular case, we're talking about a series called Cool Bits. Cool Bits. Bits make you think of like 8-bit, 16-bit, stuff like that. And cool, cool. So like, all right, take something that's cool, catchy, you know, something that gets you grooving, and then also something that is, you know, chiptune-y, right?
Sure, yeah, sure.
It made sense to me. Okay, bring this onto WarioWare DIY, stick with the limitations so that you have the roots. You have what you're looking for in the basics, and don't get too caught up into the production. Get into the core of it, the clean
songwriting. The songwriting.
Yes, the actual songwriting, and also again, you're keeping your mind on that sound, that chiptune sound. Then, if you want to apply a more modern thing, or like more modern synths, or even orchestral sounds, or piano, or anything else, then you're able to apply that. But you have the right root now. Your root is now this, and then your base, and now you've created something, and this can translate. It doesn't have to use the same instruments. It could just be something that equals it, you know, somewhere else.
But composing is all about layering and loops and putting stuff over like the bass, like you're talking about.
Right. But also translation. Like for instance, it doesn't necessarily mean what you start with is what you're going to use. Like, I've used some examples like that with WarioWare DIY and other tools too. But it doesn't mean that your final product is even going to have those samples. It just, like for instance, sometimes I just start with piano. Like I'll just
like
as a pianist as a pianist. To sketch with a piano, and it really helps. Like, even though you know you're going to have strings, or you know you're going to have guitar, you know you're going to have something, you know, this or that, you start with that sketch, and sometimes some of the piano stays, and sometimes none of the piano stays. and
it reminds me of this thing I heard from Michael Jackson. It was him doing like Beat It, or one of those tracks, like all a cappella. Have you heard this?
Oh, that's cool.
He's doing like the bass sounds, the keyboard sound, like he's doing it all with his voice, and it's like, wow.
That's always fun. Oh, I've seen great.
Maybe Michael didn't play keyboard or drums or whatever, but like he had all of this in his head, and that's how he would write, by speaking it out like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a genius. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know we have like 10 minutes or something like that. So yeah, I think when it comes to my passion has been music for the longest time, since I was a kid. So I've been interested in music stuff for so long. I've been wanting to apply that, but I also understand, like a lot of people say, and there's some truth to this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying it. A lot of people say, do what you love and try to make money doing it. I mean, there is some truth to it, but there's also a cautionary statement with this. You stand the risk of being burned out, and that is no longer your escape.
Yeah.
So what you love is now becoming what you hate. Again, I'm not discouraging it. I'm just cautioning that what you do, make sure that you don't end up disliking what you're doing, so that you lose your passion towards that. There are always ways that people are able to get back their passion. Find when you're working, especially with music or something like that. And my answer has many times been when I had the time to do it. If for some reason I'm burned out with music creation or something like that, jamming. Do not care about production. Do not even care about completing it.
Improv.
Just groove.
Yeah, improv. Like me and a buddy.
Groove. Do not care about anything you're doing.
I got a guitarist buddy. We get together like once every other week, once every week, and we just get in the room and we improvise. We hit the record button, and then if some cool stuff comes out of it, we'll say, "All right, let's revisit that." You know,
absolutely, yeah, and it definitely can help when you have others around you who are able to help. Keep the what's what I'm looking for.
Well, other people can definitely inspire you.
Yeah,
to do ultimately what you're going to do. Yeah,
morale is what I meant to say as well.
Okay.
To keep the morale up, because when you have other people who are also in it with you, or at least people you can go to, like, hey, I'm definitely needing to get together, and hopefully we can hang out and make something work that we just want to do, just
sure.
in the spur of the moment or something, and just do it.
And that's what you're talking about, the improv, coming up with it, being happy with it.
Mm-hmm. It is the counter to the rut. It is the counter to the mechanical process of making sure something is professional. Is not the chaos, but the freedom. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Forget the laws of the creation and get into the freedom of the creation.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I like about the Korg EMX1 Electribe. It's its own universe, the Groove Box. So a Groove Box for our audience is a drum machine, a synthesizer, and a sequencer all in one device.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, with that Korg Electribe, I'm able to just put the headphones on, and now I'm in this immersive world of, okay, I can do X, Y, and Z. I'm limited by X, Y, and Z, but because of those limitations, I can create some pretty kick-ass stuff.
Right. Yeah. There is no set rule when it comes to that, because sometimes what's going to work for you in the creation process or just being free, it's not going to be the same thing each time. You may actually be more inspired, more motivated by something else that wasn't the same thing as before. And sometimes you have to flow with it. And sometimes it can, get you in the weeds, but a lot of times, you don't want to ignore it. For instance, even if it's not helpful for you in the moment, it's there, that drive is there. Use it, record it, do something with it. It doesn't mean that you have to start working on it and turn it into a project like that. Save it. Hit the record button and just stay.
Yeah,
don't worry about changing it. Don't edit it. Don't layer it. I mean,
just get it. Get it down.
Just have it there.
Right.
And then once that inspiration is gone, you're ready to just move on. Just stop it. Hit, just stop recording it, or whatever it is that you do. Save it. Keep it in your archive.
So kind of what you're getting at here is that if you feel stagnant, if you feel blocked creatively, get in a room and start jamming with someone and just start getting some fresh ideas out.
Or even just with yourself, just yourself. Get a loop going and start.
Get a loop going. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yep. And what I've noticed though is when I was doing a lot of video editing and stuff, I got away from the music, and what ended up happening was for the first time in a while, it's I want to get back to music because I'm not doing music at all, not even professionally, and it's I was too busy with the game with the video editing and stuff, and Yeah. It's been really something, but yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the video stuff if you're interested in Mario Kart, Animal Crossing from the earlier times on GameXplain. Not a whole lot I can show anything with WayForward, but you could always check out WayForward's site. The only thing I think I can mention that I've done on this with WayForward, and I'm pretty sure I'm open to say so because it's public. So there's a gameography. There's a gameography on the WayForward website that I've actually had a lot to do with. Like the actual entries to the gameography is my doing. I can't get into all how that came to be, but as part of that thing, I was able to put that up there, and I was assigned that, so it's up there, and there's probably more to come. So I mean, I didn't do all the gameography, but I would say I probably did like 90%.
Okay. Yeah. So to close things out, let me ask you this. If you were to go back and tell yourself something at like age 14, age 15, like a cautionary tale, like what would you tell yourself? Oh, watch out for X, watch out for Y. Like what would that be?
Oh, that is, what, I really do need to think more along those lines, because I am a person who kind of gets a little bit into philosophy and, stuff like that. But I would have to say that things may not always come the way you expect them to.
Yeah.
You may have a particular goal in mind, and it may not take that path. But stick with the things that you are loving to do, and find ways of applying that with respect and appropriateness as you move along.
Right.
For those who are believe in the Lord, like the Lord will open the doors. And you just.
You gotta be ready.
If it's the right thing, go through the door. Go through the door. We're crying out loud. Go through the door.
You just gotta be ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Be ready for that, and then but also don't forget your loves. Don't forget them. They might be applied again.
Right.
And like even if you're in a position where this is not what you were expecting, like I wasn't expecting to be in a GameXplain and working on media. I wasn't trained for media. But I was doing media because I was willing to go that direction in the industry.
Right.
I'm not really suited for it. I've always been more suited for the production stuff, but I'd like to be on camera, like because I think it's very encouraging. I think not everybody's like, some people are more introverted or and stuff like that. I understand it, but I mean, like, sometimes it's very encouraging to have others who are there with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I understand I know a lot of friends who are they prefer to be in the basement, or they prefer to be in the shadows because their personality type is more suited for that. I can be in that position. I just don't prefer to stay in that position at all, because it can actually kind of discourage you for a bit. So find ways to get out there, and this again, for those who are want to do so, find ways to get out there so that you don't get caught in the swamp. And
well, you gotta at the end of the day, you really got to put yourself out there. You got to build a portfolio, like you're saying. These things are like absolutely important. Kevin, did you have any closing thoughts?
Maybe Kevin had to go. Yeah, because I see the text down here. It's like, maybe he had to go.
No worries.
Yeah. No, but it was great talking with both of you, really, though.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, no problem. I wasn't sure what this was at first. Like when you first started reaching me, Brian, I was like, "Is this spam?" I don't know what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
And then I found out, like, no, this is legitimate. It just and then I started checking out sorry, Coders. I'm sorry, I'm starting to forget it already. Coders Connection. Sorry.
Coder Conversations.
Coder Conversations. Yeah, sorry about that. Like I saw it this morning, but then I started forgetting. But no, with the coder conversations, and I saw some of the videos, like I'm not from start to finish, but I checked out some of them, and I was like, oh well, yeah, you definitely got different people going on here. A lot of them were programmers, but then some of them were not. And
yeah, like we got programmers, HR, graphic design.
Oh, absolutely.
Video game music composers.
Which we're kind of going with me.
Exactly.
Right. And yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool, and like I hope the Coder Conversations is successful with this, and get people different perspectives on different different people in the industry, even some people you wouldn't expect to be in there, like oh wow, this is what oh, this person's here, or something like that. That's pretty cool. And I think it's helpful for other people, like especially if they want to understand like how are people feeling in the industry? Like, how are they feeling in the industry? And are they comfortable being there? And like, in what advice can they provide? From the perspective from their business lives. And I think it's really good. I mean, definitely keep it up. But
yeah, I mean, we're trying to break the barriers to getting into some of these more shadowy industries like music, games. Like a lot of people don't know really anything about the music industry, or like how do you get an internship? Because a lot of these people get into music.
A lot of indie scenes are really good though. That's probably better than the main. Yeah, definitely better than the main in many different ways. But and the same thing applies with the game industry as well. Like indie scene is really good. And, I mean, there's some AAA or stuff like that. It's probably fine. Like not all of it's bad or anything like that. I mean, I understand the game industry is changing. And that's a topic for another day. But yeah, for those who are interested in what I do, definitely check the description. We'll have some link. I'm sorry. I'm too used to talking like I'm in charge of the thing. I'm sorry. No. I'm sure we'll have some things in the description that kind of give some links to not just the things that I do, but also the companies I'm involved with. Mostly like with GameXplain specifically. And then some of the ways to get a hold of me if anyone wants to reach me. Mostly for professional reasons or stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, we really appreciate you coming on today. Everyone, that's it for the show. Catch us next time.
Yep. Thank you for having me. Until next time. Ciao.
See you guys.
I'm guessing it closed. Okay. All right.